the overview of the previous 5 or 6 classes so far we had, and today we will discuss this till the 11:30, and then we will have a break for 15 minutes, and that would be followed by the very important knowledge area, which is project cost management. And as we all know that this is the core area. In 4 core areas, we discussed the scope management last time. And today we will discuss the cost management, and then that would be followed by quality management and time management. So the 4 very important knowledge areas, which are the core knowledge areas for the project management as per the PMI approach. Before we formally start the class, I would like to have the some of the points which I have noted down, and I would like the participation from the class. That how did we define the project and management and project management? So this is the first question. Anyone in the class who would like to comment? आप अपनी जगह पे बैठ के you can just हाँ जी. Okay जी. The question is, what is project, which is management, and what is project management? Just quick discussion so that we can have a recap of previous 5 or 6 classes for the students who have not been able to join the classes. And please note it that this is a very important lecture in terms of the topics we covered so far. But before we formally start, let me share with you one of my latest book, which is, you can see this book. This is Project Procurement and Contract Management. And this is my 7th book, I think, 6th or 7th book to be more precise. This book is mainly, this is published last week, and this is mainly about the project procurement and contract management. In the first chapter of this book is more about the project management and the overview of the course of the project management and how the projects are done in the public sector and so on. So this book will be available with ISRAR from next week, number 1. Anyone who would like to have the copy, we have given a special discount of 25% for the KIU students. So ISRAR can be contacted for that. And all money we get from this book is going to the, not to my pocket, this would go to the KIU, is my contribution to the KIU. So thank you very much. Okay, so we start with the project and project management. Anyone in the class who would like to comment on this? Aji? ये फिर आपको इसरार बता देगा. The title is it's about मेरे ख्याल में 2000 रुपए इसकी कीमत है, but 25% डिस्काउंट आप खुद लगा ले कितना बन जाता है. तो it will be I think 1500 आपके लिए, जो हमारे खर्चा भी तकरीबन इतना ही है हमारी इस किताब पे, including all the important things. अच्छा जी. What is project and what is management and how do we, जरा quickly करें ना ताकि हम पिछले 5-6 lectures को का एक overview आज discuss कर ले. It's very important. Those who have not been able to take the class may kindly note it. ये kindly आप note कर ले. Secondly, we will have the first 1-hour test, inshallah, next week. Next weekend, we will have the first OHT, and that will be mostly covering the, not the lecture we discussed today, but the lectures we have already discussed in the last 5 or 6 classes. So the lecture of today would not be part of the first OHT. It would be discussed in the second OHT. But certainly the today lecture is very important to have a quick overview of what we have been discussing in the last 5 or 6 lectures. Aji, anyone who would like to comment on project and project management, just raise your hand and start discussion. Shuru kare ji, please, don't delay. हाँ जी शुरू करें प्लीज ये तो देखें ना it's a class discussion and this is one of the challenge in the online classes that if you are just reading like newspapers then the class interest would finish. So I'm just trying to create interaction with the students so that we are lively interacting in the class. Okay ji. Anyone who could just tell us about the project and project management? जल्दी बताएं. शुरू करें आप उधर से बोले बोले आपकी आवाज आएगी उधर. जी
सर मैंने जी मैनेजमेंट सॉरी प्रोजेक्ट ऑफ जी सर some of certain action and task required to be performed in a specified period of time with human and non-human resources for specified objectives. This is called project. And management is the process of planning, organizing, staffing, controlling, and leading is called management.
Good.
Project management is the art and science of planning, managing, and leading the human and non-human resources to complete the project within a constraint of time, scope, and cost to achieve the end success. End users of user satisfaction.
And this is the famous definition of the Project Management Institute. And we discussed last time that Project Management Institute is one of the largest project management body in the world, which is having almost 1 million project management professionals of today. And this is the largest certifying body also besides the education. It is a certifying body. They are offering more than 12 certificates, but the most prominent and famous certificate around the world is PMP. In some time, inshallah, we are planning to have a training on the PMP somewhere in the midsummer, maybe around August. And those who are interested to have the PMP certification exam, we will provide them some training. We are trying to, because this training can be provided only by the certified trainers of the PMI. So we are looking for some capable person who can travel to KIU for a week to provide this 1 week training program. I'm also working with Pakistan Engineering Council if they can provide some resource. So we discuss and then how we define the project life cycle. Anyone else? How do we define the project life cycle and what are the distinct phases? जी बात करें प्लीज ये तो बहुत पुरानी बातें हो गई ना यू ऑल मस्ट नो इट
Our project life cycle is a step-by-step procedure to complete the scope of the project. It includes problem identification, cost, benefit analysis, its performance appraisal, and its implementation.
Okay, so since the project is bound by time, it has a very definite start and end point. Therefore, this entire spectrum of the project is having certain distinct phases in the life. Just like anything which is bounded by time, you have distinct phases, and every phase has its own unique requirements of resources. So every phase which we think in project will have its own resources and its objective, deliverables, and timelines. And the entire project is then the sum of all these individual phases. And normally, I discussed last time that we have 3 distinct phases. One phase is, which is normally the phase, we call it pre-project phase. And the pre-project phase is the phase in which we do certain different kinds of feasibility analysis, project appraisals to make sure that the project is worthy of investment or not. Because every project we conceive is not worthy of investment in the government or any organization in the public sector may not be having, or private sector may not be having enough resources to finance all the projects which are proposed by different departments. So certainly there must be some mechanism in which we filter these projects And all the activities which we are undertaking before the start of the project is normally pre-project activities, and sometimes we call it pre-project appraisals. Now, in the public sector, when we talk about the project appraisals, we have PC1, which is the most common document we use for all the projects. And PC, as I already described, means planning cycle. So planning cycle pro forma 1 is the document which is required for all the projects in public sectors, smaller or larger, uh, uh, in terms of money, in terms of duration. So any project which we do in a normal circumstances would require the project appraisal, and that is done through the PC1. For the complex projects where we have a lot of challenges in terms of cost or complexity of the different uh, activities or different designs are different, and we are not sure about different resources in the projects, we may come up with a feasibility analysis. And this feasibility analysis is normally represented by the PC2 and the public sector. And once the project is formally approved, then the administrative approval is issued. ठीक है जी? What is the second phase? एक तो मैंने बता दिया ना, there is a pre-project appraisal process in which we have the PC2 followed by PC1. जी. हाँ जी. Once the project is approved, then what we do, and the administrative approval is issued, and we are authorized to start the project, then what is the next phase? Execution. Execution or implementation is the second phase, and this is certainly the most difficult and complex phase because we need a lot of resources, and the 80 to 90% of the project resources and time is spent in the execution. So if we just look at the time duration or money we spend in the project, very little is required in the initial phase because we may be undertaking certain feasibility analysis or maybe some data analysis. Maybe we are going for some consultancies to develop the basic data about the project. And once that is approved, then we start the project. And that would be the point where we would need a lot of resources and time to execute the project. And while we are executing the project, we are also monitoring and controlling the project. And what are the documents we are using for monitoring and controlling? PC3. And the PC3, we have monthly as well as quarterly reports. And these reports are sent to the Planning Commission. And there are also now the project management evaluation system in which the reports are uploaded by the project director. The unique login has been given to all the project directors in the country who are dealing with the projects, who are the focal persons in the execution department. And they log into the system, they upload the latest status of the project, and they also identify that if there is any problem due to which the project is either delayed or the decisions have been delayed, or the project could not start according to the PC1 or planning. So monitoring and controlling would continue throughout the project execution stage. And we have to send the annual reports, the monthly reports, and the quarterly reports. And in public sector, the people who are doing these projects, they know that when the budgetary allocations are given, the first thing we submit to the government is project profile. And for example, if engineering and technology campus of KIU is given the remaining 300 million this year, so the first thing we would be doing is to give the project profile and then develop the project cash flow and workflow, work plan and cash plan, so that we can provide the government the different kind of activities we would be taking up during the next 1 year, starting from 1st of July 2024 towards the end of June 2025. So we provide a project profile, which just tells us that what has been the financial and physical achievements of the project by the end of June this year, and what is our plan for the next year in terms of workflow and work plan and cash plan. जो लोग public sector projects कर रहे हैं उनको पता है कि we submit these documents in July once the budgetary allocation has been given to the project. The Planning Commission requires that we should submit these documents by mid of July so that the planning for the next year is very clear in the mind of client as well as sponsor. And what is the next phase? The project closure or completion, that once the project is going towards the end, we have to formally close the project. And this project, मैंने last time आपको कहा था कि आप थोड़ा सा terms को अगर differently use करेंगे तो you will not be confused with the processes. We use the project appraisal and then followed by project implementation and then project completion. So that you are not confusing it with the 5 processes. And then we close the project or complete the project. And once the project is completed, we submit the completion report, which is PC4. And this completion report tells us that how the different items of the projects have been executed. And if there has been any variation within the permissible limit, then we give the reasons. We also provide the lesson learned, the difficulties we faced in the project execution and so on. So the PC4, I already discussed that any project is not deemed completed in the government books unless the PC4 is submitted. So PC4 is the official document to declare a project completed. If you delay the project, PC4 submission for 10 years, the project would not be deemed as completed in the books of the government. So it's very important for the project managers that once the project is completed, we immediately submit the PC4 within 4 to 5 months, because you have to provide all the details of the project, the procurement processes, the financial management, the contract management, and all these activities, the HR management will be required to be completed so that we can complete the project in books also. और इसके लिए ज़ाहिर है once the PC4 is submitted, any money which is surplus and which has not been spent will be released and sent back to the government. So if the money is not spent, then certainly the government would demand that the unspent money must be deposited in the treasury of the government, being a government of public funds. And then to assess that whether the project has achieved its objectives or not, then after 1 year of the project, we do the PC5. So PC5 is basically the post-project evaluation. So I told you that we have 3 levels of evaluations. The first evaluation is the pre-project, which is before the start of the project, and then we evaluate the project during the execution, which is monitoring and evaluation. And then once the project is completed after 1 year, we try to see that whether project has achieved its objective or not, and we submit the PC5. So these 5 PCs are really very important. I'll just give for the students who are coming for the first or second time, just an overview of this project cycle. ये मैंने तमाम important चीजों को एक उसमें किया है so that you people are able to. तो ठीक है जी, आगे चलते हैं जी. The next हमने प्रोजेक्ट की बात की, प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट की बात की, ये भी बात हो गई पीसीज की, फिर हमने स्टेजेस की भी बात की. मैं इसमें ज्यादा तफसील में नहीं जाता. आपको प्रेजेंटेशन नजर आ रही है ना? मैं इसको बात इस पे हो गई. ये एक टिपिकल जो हमारा एक कंस्ट्रक्शन प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में पीएमआई की बुक में ये एक आपको नजर आ रहा है. अभी आ रहा है? ठीक है. तो इसमें अगर आप देखें, this is just a typical construction project in which they have given the first stage, for example, the feasibility analysis, which is the problem analysis, opportunity analysis, project identification, selection, estimation, design, preliminary design, and approvals. And then we go for the planning and design, which is part of the execution. We have the preliminary estimate, cost schedule analysis, project specification, standards, contracts, blah, blah, blah. And then we go for the construction, in which we have the detailed designing, procurement planning, pre-qualification of bidders, invitation of bids, tender evaluations, agreements, works, provisional testing, deployment, and so on. And once we go to the fourth stage, then that is the turnover and startup. This is final testing, acceptance, commissioning, operation, maintenance, and so on. So this is just an application that the first stage one is normally the pre-project stage, and the stage 2 and 3 is the implementation, in which we have the planning and construction of the project, and then we go for the fourth stage, which is the post-project or the project completion phase, that once the project is completed, we don't demobilize, and we send the project to the users. We transfer the project. We have the handing and taking over processes, and the project team is normally shifted to other projects, and the operational team then would take care of it. They would come and they would, for example, once the Hamir Basha Dam would be over, the project team would be phased out, and it would be then given to the WAPDA for the distribution companies, the National Power Dispatch Company, so that they can then connect it to the regional and national grid for the distribution of the power. So there will be another team which will be more expert in the operation and management of the power instead of those who are experts in the development, design, and execution. We also discuss a little bit about the background of the project management, that initially the project management started with the old historical, for example, construction of the Egyptian pyramids, Great Wall of China, Taj Mahal. And then we had in modern world, for example, the Panama Canal, airplanes, polio vaccines, all these were the projects. And gradually this started in the early 80s or late 70s, when the computer came in the market. The project management become a discipline in other areas also. And most of the time, the IT projects certainly got the advantage of using the IT infrastructure for the project management. And then we could see these projects in dams, ships, refineries, freeways, expressways, and so on. And today, as of today, we have already discussed that almost $10 trillion are spent in the global economy on the new projects. पाकिस्तान का कितना PSDP है जी? पर अभी बजट आप में से किसी ने सुना? What was the total volume of budget? पाकिस्तान का total budget कितना?
18.8 billion.
हाँ जी, 18.8 good 18.8 trillion. तो 18,872 अरब. तो 18,872 अरब में PSDP कितना है? ये तो देखें ना आप, ये चीजें आप being students of project management. हाँ जी,
3792
कितना जी?
3792
It's about, I think exactly मैंने लिखा है वैसे इधर, मैं इन चीजों में दिलचस्पी लेता हूँ. अच्छा जी, टोटल वॉल्यूम हमारा जो बजट है वो 18,877 बिलियन का है, 18.877 बिलियन, जिसमें PSDP 1674 बिलियन का है, 1674 बिलियन. तो यू कैन जस्ट से कि हमारा अभी भी जो PSDP है
3.19 trillion.
16 से PSDP 1674 बिलियन.
3.792 trillion.
कितना बन जाता है?
ये 3.7 trillion बन जाता है सर, 40% increase for this year.
Provinces का मिला के, I'm not talking of provinces. I'm talking
1.4 is 1.4 trillion sir.
PSDP जो है वो 1670. मेरे पास जो statistics है, this I have got from Dawn newspaper last day. 1674 बिलियन हमारा PSDP है। गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज का जो खर्चा है 1152 है। प्रोविंसेस को 1777 बिलियन, डिफेंस 2122, पेंशन लाइबिलिटी 1014, सब्सिडीज 1363, जो डेट सर्विसिंग है, इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट डोमेस्टिक एंड ओवरसीज बोथ 9775। तो इससे आप अंदाजा लगाए कि हमारे मईशत का तकरीबन आधे से भी ज्यादा जो पैसा है वो डेट सर्विसिंग में जा रहा है, विच इज द इंटरेस्ट ऑन द लोन्स। पाकिस्तान का जो इंटरनल और एक्सटर्नल बोरोइंग है उस पे जो इंटरेस्ट है वी हैव टू पे, और उसमें जो कुछ हमने लोन पे बैक करना है, दैट इज अबाउट 9775 बिलियन, विच इज ऑलमोस्ट हाफ, करके उससे भी ज्यादा, इट्स 52% ऑफ द total GDP would be going to the, and that is where the Pakistan economy is not standing up, because we have high reliance on the foreign loans and the internal domestic borrowing, and we have to pay high cost. More than 50% is going on the interest of the or the payment of loans at their interest. So that is one of the challenge we face in Pakistan, that the large component of the earning is going to the debt servicing and the payment of capital or borrowed money. फिर हमने बात की कि why we need project management. I don't want to discuss it, but certainly it improves the productivity, it lowers the cost, better coordination and so on. ये फिर आपसे मैं शेयर कर लूंगा. Who will talk about the project management approach of the PMI? Haji. What is the PMI approach?
5 processes and 10 knowledge areas.
जी जी, बात करें ना यार, आप लोग डरते क्यों हैं, मुझे नहीं समझ आती. Confidently बात करें ना. Those who know should speak, and even if you don't know, you should have the courage to speak.
माइक आगे आवाज नहीं आ रही.
नहीं, आवाज आ रही है, आपकी आवाज माशाल्लाह बड़ी तेज आ रही है. I can listen. You please डिस्कस करें ताकि क्लास में इंटरेक्शन रहे ना, फिर तो ये खबरें सुनने और बोलने वाली बात रह जाएगी. हाँ जी. What is the PMI approach?
The PMI approach has 5 processes and 10 knowledge areas. The 5 processes are actually
Yes.
the,
And we last time, if you remember, discussed that the project management approach of the PMI is based on best practices, management theory, and project management related tools and techniques. So 3 things have met together, are combined together to have the PMI approach. The first thing is that what are the best practices around the world in the project management. The second is management theory. And the third is the tools and techniques, the templates which have been used over the years for the project management. So these 3 things together have made a book which is called Project Management Body of Knowledge, PMBOK. So PMBOK is basically based on the management theory, application of the project management, the management theory to the project management, the best practices and the tools and techniques that together has combined to make the project management body of knowledge. And this PMI approach is based on 5 processes and 10 knowledge areas. बताएं जी कौन सी है? What are the 5 processes?
initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closing.
जी. And what are the knowledge areas? We have 4 core areas. So we have the core areas of time, cost, quality, and scope. And then we have integration management, which is integrating the resources. And then we have 5 support areas, which are the procurement, risk, communication, stakeholder management, and human resource management. So the 5 support areas plus 1 integration management plus 4 core areas make the 10 knowledge areas. And I discussed last time that initially, if you just go back to a couple of years back, I think in the 6th or 5th edition, there were 9 knowledge areas. But in the 7th edition or 6th edition of PMBOK, they have added a new knowledge area based on its importance, and that is stakeholder management. So the project management approach of PMI is not unique. It's not unique because we have many other approaches around the world. For example, Prince2, Prince, there are agile project management approaches. But certainly, the PMI approach is one of the most widely used approach in the world, and that is why there is high accreditation and high regard for this. ठीक है जी? Okay, so let's move to the next. I don't want to read it. This is just telling us that why new projects are important. For example, there might be new technologies, there are competitive forces in the market, there are material issues. For example, if we talk about the airline industry, there is always a search and research for lighter and stronger material, and they are working on the nano material so that the material is lighter as well as stronger. Then the political changes, the government change, and the government bring their new agenda of the development, and new projects are conceived in the public sector. Then there are market demands. The consumers have their own demands in terms of their preferences, and these preferences create a new demand in the market. Economic changes, for example, if there is improvement in the economic conditions of the region or country, and people have more income, then definitely the demand for different new products would increase. Then our customer requests, customer have their own specific requests for improvement of the products, and that would bring new stakeholder demands, legal requirements. For example, there might be requirements of the environmental legislation that for doing new projects, you have to comply with certain requirements, and these requirements would bring the new projects as well. Business improvement, for example, you want to further enhance the capacity and the productivity of your system, you will bring new projects of upgradation and so on. And then strategic needs, we discussed last time that we have a strategic need for sustainability, for image building, for customer satisfactions, and all these strategies are part of our business plans. And we want that we bring new services and new products to address the strategic plan of the university. There are social needs. For example, the society may have their own needs in the changing demographics and things like that. For example, if the people are immigrating to the urban centers and urbanization is happening, then definitely government would talk about their housing, and these housing and infrastructure would bring new products and new projects. And there are environmental on the top of everything. The climate actions are very important, and we see that the climate impact is very prominent, and there are specific projects which are addressing the climate. So just given the importance of these various attributes, a checklist has been prepared by PMI that, for example, what are the different kind of projects where you have the focus. But certainly we don't have all these things in one project. Some are environmentally important, some are socially important, some are technologically important. So for example, if we have an online system, how can we improve it? How can we upgrade it that would create new products and new projects in the university? Then we discussed also that the program is a combination of similar projects. And for example, if we talk about the hydropower program, we might be having a number of projects within the same program. And these projects are normally similar and identical in their nature. अच्छा जी, उसके बाद हमने project feasibility analysis discuss किया. What is project feasibility analysis?
Whether a project can be executed or not, to check whether a project can be executed or not, the time scope, employment, non-viability.
Okay. So the project feasibility analysis is basically an organized study or analysis through which we can decide that whether the project is worthy of investment or not. And certainly we cannot finance each and every project because there is always a pressure from the stakeholders, and they have a number of projects. So we have some process through which we can filter the most suitable projects in the public and private sector. So that is feasibility analysis. And what are the components of feasibility analysis?
Technical feasibility.
जी बताए.
Technical feasibility, project feasibility.
Technical, yes. What is technical feasibility? Gee, what is technical feasibility? We discussed last time.
Whether the project can be executed within our current technological.
So certainly the requirement like raw material, access, utilities, infrastructure, then the kind of technology we require, the human resource, the skilled, unskilled, and semi-skilled people, professional people, and all these are really very important for the project. The availability of land, which is very big issue in the Gilgit-Baltistan, in particular, and also in general in the rest of the country, that we already have a lot of projects have been sick due to the non-availability of the land. So land availability is also very important. So the technical feasibility is an exhaustive process through which we identify the resources, we identify the technology, the utilities, the services, the commercial markets, and all these things which are important for the project. The location of project itself is very important in terms of technical analysis, because if a project has been placed in an area where we don't have the water, we don't have the connectivity with the rest of the region, we don't have the water, electricity, then certainly such kind of projects would be not very feasible, and we will have a lot of investments. So the technical feasibilities are very important, in which we try to understand that what are the needs of the project. What is the second component?
Social feasibility.
Haji.
Economic feasibility, financial and economic segment.
Financial, yes, financial. What do we mean by financial feasibility?
Enough resources for execution of the project, like
Good return on investment.
input for that.
Cost benefit analysis of the project.
These are the tools. Yes, these are the various tools we are using. But what is the basic purpose of financial analysis?
Do we have enough finances to execute the project?
Yes. Number one, the question, do we have enough finances? Number second, whether projects is worthy of investment or not. We are not putting the money into waste. We are not putting because we are not having an indefinite money. So money has always its cost. So what is the time value of money? When we talk about the financial analysis, it's very important to understand the time value of money. What is time value of money?
Best return on each money spent in the long run.
No. Just define what is time value of money. ये तो आप उसकी
Today will be worth in future.
Best return on each money spent in the long run.
No. What is time value of money? देखिए तीन चीजें है ना जी, time, value, money. तीन लफ्ज है ना आप. What is meant by time value of money? जी हाँ जी, जल्दी बताएं.
What my money will be worth after a certain amount of time as compared to today.
Yes, there is always a value of money in time, which means that a money which we receive or a dollar which we receive tomorrow is not equal to the money we have today, or dollar today. What is the reason? क्यों हम इस तरह की बात करते हैं?
Opportunity cost.
There is always an opportunity cost, because if I give you 1 million rupees and you return me 1 million rupees after 2 years, that 1 million is not equal to the money I have today. Even if there is no depreciation, if there is no inflation, still that 2 million, 1 million is not equal to the 1 million I have given you today. And the reason is that I could have invested this money into other opportunities. So there is always an opportunity cost for the value, for the money. And so जब भी हम future से, if for example I want to get 1 million after 2 years, how would I determine the present value of this money? मुझे 1-2 साल बाद आप 10 लाख रुपए देंगे, तो आज की उसकी क्या कीमत होगी? What will be the present value? No, I'm not talking of net. Just what will be the present value of the money you will give me tomorrow or after 2 years? हम फ्यूचर से प्रेजेंट को आएंगे तो कौन सा फैक्टर यूज करेंगे? डिस्काउंटिंग और
डिस्काउंटिंग सर।
डिस्काउंटिंग
भाई मेरे कंपाउंड का मतलब तो ये है कि बढ़ाना है, तो बढ़ेंगे पैसे जो कम होंगे। जब मैं आज उस पैसे को आज की कीमत में देखूंगा जो मुझे 2 साल बाद मिलेंगे, तो ये कम होंगे। सो व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट फ्रॉम फ्यूचर टू प्रेजेंट, वी विल डिस्काउंट, और अगर मैं आज के पैसे को 2 साल बाद देखना चाहता हूं तो दैट विल बी कंपाउंडेड। सो व्हेन वी आर coming from future to present, we will use the discounting factor. And when we use from present to future, if we want to determine the future value, then we will multiply it by the compounding factor. And compounding factor, you always 1 plus I raised to the power n. याद है आपको? तो अगर हम उसको डिवाइड करेंगे तो दिस वुड बिकम डिस्काउंटिंग फैक्टर, और अगर इससे मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे तो ये कंपाउंडिंग फैक्टर। तो जब भी हम whenever we will talk about the present value of future income, we will discount it. And whenever we would talk about the future value of present money, we will compound it. So this is the simple rationale we discussed last time. So I don't want to go into the details. Then we discussed net present value, that is the sum of the total discounted streams of incomes minus cost, that would be net present value. And we also discussed that for a feasible project, the net present value must always be positive. क्या होना चाहिए? Positive. And that is the reason is that my net income should be more than the, my total income should be more than the cost. And if the net present value is negative, that would mean that I'm putting more money and I'm receiving lesser money. And that would not be a feasible project. And then we also discussed that if we have 2 projects and we have similar investment, then the NPV must be positive and it must be the larger value. So if we are comparing the 2 projects, then the NPV with larger NPV will be selected. Then we also discuss the return on investment, that is the total discounted returns divided by the total discounted cost. And again, this must be more than 1, because if your profitability index or return on investment is less than 1, that would mean that your cost is more than your profit or your returns. And then we also discuss the payback period, that the time of duration which is required to return the money by the project. We discussed 3 projects last time, if you remember. This is just telling us, and then we also discussed the weighted scoring model, that instead of just thinking about the finances only, we also discuss about the different attributes like support to key business objectives, strong internal sponsors, strong customer support, and so on. And we give weightages to all these attributes, and then we assess every project based on this, and then we see that what is the project which has got the highest marks. For example, in these 4 projects which we have analyzed in this diagram, we see that project 1 has got 56 marks on the scale, and project 2 has got 78.5, and project 3 has got 50, and project 4 is 41.5. And certainly on the basis of multi-scoring model or weighted scoring model, the project 2 is the best. अब अगर आप एनपीवी देखें तो आप एनपीवी प्रोजेक्ट 2 का ज्यादा है, 70 है सबसे ज्यादा, लेकिन ओवरऑल स्कोर जो प्रोजेक्ट 2 का है वो भी खैर इत्तेफाक से ज्यादा है, लेकिन जरूरी नहीं है कि सिर्फ एनपीवी की बुनियाद पे हम इसमें तो मिसाल के तौर पे अगर हम कोई नया प्रोग्राम क्या यू में शुरू करेंगे तो हमने 3-4 चीजें 5 चीजें देखनी है। नंबर 1 कि ये जो प्रोग्राम है या ये जो सब कैंपस है ये हमारे स्ट्रेटेजिक विजन में इसकी इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, ये हमारी जो हायर एजुकेशन एक्सेस के लिए कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है, नंबर 2। नंबर 3, ये केआईयू की इमेज बिल्डिंग में कितना फाल किरदार अदा कर सकता है। और सर्टनली हम ये भी देखेंगे कि इसका जो इन्वेस्टमेंट है एनपीवी हमें अच्छा होगा। जाहिर है हमारे सब कैंपसेस का एनपीवी तो अच्छा नहीं है बिकॉज दैट इज नेगेटिव, वी आर पुटिंग मोर एंड गेटिंग लेस, लेकिन certainly the NPV is not the only criteria we have made for the selection of the sites or sub-campuses. So in multi-weighted criteria or scoring model, what we normally do is that we uh, have different attributes and we assign different weightages. मिसाल के तौर पे अगर आप यहाँ देखें तो हमारे पास 7 एट्रीब्यूट्स है और हर एट्रीब्यूट को उन्होंने वेटेज दिया है और सबसे ज्यादा वेटेज जो है वो हमारे बिजनेस ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के साथ उसकी स्ट्रेटेजिक अलायंस है। So this is really very important. We can't just think of earning money from everything in university because we are not a business enterprise. So certainly we will think about the strategic plan of university, the access, the affordability, the quality, and all these are really very important for the university. Then we talk about the project integration management, which is to identify the resources for the project during the entire life cycle of the project. And we discuss, for example, 5 or 6 stages that we develop the project charter, we develop the project management plan, we develop the management execution plan. Then we try to see that what knowledge we are getting from this process, then monitoring and controlling, integrated change management, and closing the project. So basically, it's a complete blueprint of the project, which tells us that how would we start from the day first and how would we close the project. So all the processes which are required in the project from day 1 to the end are included in the project integration management. And we discussed last time project charter. आप में से किसी ने सीआर साहब हमें बता सकते हैं कोई प्रोजेक्ट चार्टर आप हमारे साथ आज शेयर कर रहे हैं? जी
आज आया नहीं है।
उसके बाद हमने स्कोप की बात की, the last 2 slides, that scope is the boundary of the project and everything is not part of the project. Everything we consider because the project is well defined by its boundaries and the scope is well defined from the day first. And it is the challenge for the project manager that they should try to restrict the scope to the approved one. And if there is any change, this change must be authenticated. It must be within the permissible limits. Otherwise, it will create a lot of issues at the later stage and the project division will be required. So this is really very important that we control the scope change right from the beginning. And if there is any change, we should have a well-placed mechanism which can control the change, and we take the decision in time. And if there is any need for the revision of PC1 or something like that, we take the decision in time. Because if the project is delayed and the PC1 is not revised, we will have a lot of troubles. So the scope is basically the boundaries of the project, which are in the form of deliverables. And these deliverables may be tangible or intangible, that may be outcomes, that may be maybe the solutions, maybe products, maybe services. So all these are basically the deliverables of the projects, and we have to be very careful about the project scope management. And normally we develop the requirement analysis, we define the scope from the day first, then we develop the work breakdown structure, then we try to see that how we would verify the scope, and if there is any change, then we would try to change control management and so on. We discussed this last time in detail. And this is just work breakdown structure of banquet that, for example, if we have a banquet for 500 people, then how would we divide this banquet into different activities and sub-activities? For example, who will be planning, supervising the entire banquet? What will be the dinner menu, shopping list, cooking, serving, then room and equipment, where it will be served, then the guest list, and who will send the guest list, and who will then check the RSVPs if there are some regrets, name tags and things like that. If there are some special needs, disabled people or special people or old people who can't, for example, use the staircase, then what will be the arrangement to bring them to the premises? And if there is some speakers, for example, who will invite, who will transport the speakers from the hotel to the premises. So all these are then given in detail in the work breakdown structure. And finally, I told you that there is always a unique number for every component of the work breakdown structure. For example, the level 1 is normally project, and then it is divided into, for example, different components like hardware, software, system engineering, project management, system testing, data management. And then within that, we have further divisions. So the unique number, for example, 1.1 would mean, or 1.1 would mean that it's a level 2 activity and it's a hardware. And if we go for the 1.1.1, that would mean that this is level 3 activity, and it is a subcomponent of the first. So you can just expand the work breakdown structure, but every work breakdown component or every element of the work breakdown structure is represented and identified by the unique number. So we discussed the project feasibility analysis, financial, economic, in which we try to see that how these new projects would create economic opportunities in terms of employment, in terms of different opportunities for the income generation of the people, how the various cost analysis are done, and so on. And then we have the organizational or HR managerial feasibility, in which we try to see that what will be the different kind of human resource which will be required for the projects. And finally, we have the environmental feasibility. What are the environmental feasibility? What we mean by environmental feasibility?
Environmental impact assessment.
जी जी वो तो उसके लिए जो process है, that is, but what is environmental
Whether the project makes any hazardous to the environment, any hazardous impact to the environment, positive or negative?
Yes, if we would like to assess that what are the negative impacts of the project on the environment, and if there is some negative impacts, how can we mitigate it? How can we reduce this impact? So this is normally the environmental analysis or environmental feasibility. And we normally have the two tools. One is IEE and what is EIA. What is the difference? What is
IEE for
IIE?
Projects internal study, EIA is complete thorough study for the project.
So IEE is interim environmental evaluation or initial environmental evaluation. Interim, it's normally for small projects. And there is a list of EPA is given in GB also, and also in the Pakistan EPA. They have given 3 lists. The first list are the projects which does not require any environmental analysis. The second list is those projects which are having the brief analysis, which is IEE, interim environmental evaluation. And the third one is then your EIA, environmental impact assessment, which is for the larger projects. And we have to go through a rigorous process to see that, for example, we first of all screen the project, screening, that whether the project require the analysis, and if yes, what is the nature of analysis, then scoping, we identify the major impacts, and then we go for the baseline data, and then we predict the impacts of the new projects, and then we propose mitigation strategies, and then we develop the EIA report. We submit it for the public consultation. In the public consultation, once the public consultation is completed, then it is revised, and either it may be the project may be rejected or based on the environmental impact, or it may be deferred for the further analysis, or it may be approved. So based on the EIA analysis and the public consultation and the requirements of the EPA or GBEPA, we finally decide that what should we do with the projects. Normally, the projects are deferred for further analysis and further improvement. But if the projects are not having any detrimental effects on the environment, then certainly we would approve the project. And there must be a stronger monitoring mechanism. हमारे यहाँ जो सबसे बड़ा अलमिया है वो ये है कि we have a very good in EIA reports and we commit that we will be doing this and that and we will be not cutting the trees, we will have proper disposal of the waste material and so on. But unfortunately, when we go to the practice execution of the projects, unfortunately, you see that there is a lot of compromise on the environmental quality. So the very important part of the EIA is monitoring, that how we will monitor the environmental impacts and how would we mitigate and how would monitor the mitigation strategies, which is unfortunately absent in most of the projects in Pakistan. We have good stories in the EIA, but we don't have a proper monitoring evaluation mechanism. And that's why you would see that a lot of compromises on the environmental quality is done. So thank you very much. I think we will have a quick cup of tea for 20 minutes and then we assemble it at 12:05.